Alrighty, welcome into the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave, cavetalkradio.com, the Cave Talk Radio app, Facebook, and YouTube Live. It's great to have you aboard. Gary Ayd, Rich, and Selmo. A lot to get to. And we would be remiss, Rich, if we didn't start with Monday Night Football.
Oh, yeah.
The Commies! They did it! You know what they say about commies, right? They always topple perfection. And the commies did it again, just like a classic Bolsheviks revolution. He had it last night in the NFL.
Throwing the history out.
Throwing the history, the March of Cheers, whatever you want to say, the Great Society. Oh, it was all there yesterday, baby. The Eagles. The definition of perfection, no longer. They fell to the commies. The Red Army got them. And we now no longer have any unbeatens. And your favorite thing happened yesterday, Rich. Mercury Morris got to pop that cigar. Your boy.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's the only thing he's done since then. So
you know what? The hell with it. Good for him.
He may as well have it.
I would be just as insufferable if I ever was part of something like that. I wouldn't want anyone beating it, and I would gloat about it. Absolutely. So good for you, Mercury Morse.
You don't see Larry Zonka doing that.
That's because he's too busy fishing and hunting and being an absolute redneck. That's the only reason. He probably doesn't know what the computer is. He probably doesn't even know what the internet is. Guy's an absolute redneck. Unbelievable. Now, so, we were talking right before the air, Rich. I can't believe how is it even still a question on who should be the quarterback of this team? Like, Taylor Heineke's earned this job in multiple stints over a couple of years of inspired play. He comes in there, man, and he makes things happen. He just makes plays, and the team believes in him. I don't know why this is even a conversation anymore. This guy should just be named the starter and be done with it. It's not like you're sitting there with Joe Theismann or someone good in their prime. You got Carson Wentz and a bunch of never wases. Like just give this kid the keys to the car and let him drive. That's what I think.
It's obvious. It's obvious at this stage in his career, Carson Wentz can't even turn the ignition, let alone drive.
That's right.
Why not? Why not just say he's the starter? And that's it. I don't understand it.
No, I agree. I mean, I think it's time to go that route. Look, if there's a team I've been more wrong about than the Washington Commies this year, I don't know who it is. I mean, I guess maybe the Raiders would be the other contender for that title.
The Rams,
the Seahawks.
We both picked the Rams at the beginning of the season.
Yes, yeah. Oh boy, were we wrong about that? So I guess there's a number of these that might make a fun top five today. Top 5 NFL teams we were way off on this year. That might be fun.
Let's do it.
All right, good.
Let's do it. I'll scrap what I had.
Because there's a bunch of these that we could go through. But these are one of them. Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I have any idea how they're doing this. But they're now 500, I believe, right? They're 5-5 now.
Yeah.
They beat
everybody in the division's 500 or better.
Yep. They just beat the only undefeated team in the NFL. And, I mean, what the hell? This is the thing. I have no clue what's going on anymore. None. Like, really zero. I mean, the Bills suddenly look vulnerable. The Eagles just lost. The Rams stink. Green Bay just beat someone like that they didn't deserve, you didn't see them beating. Right, Dallas, right. I couldn't think of it. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I have no clue. It's a total cluster. The whole league is in one big blunder right now. And we're just gonna have to see what it spits out because I don't know anymore. I really don't. Like, I think Kansas City's really good.
They are.
I think Buffalo's good. I think the Eagles are good.
Kansas City lost to Indianapolis.
Right. Like, so what? Like, I don't know. I really don't. So it makes perfect sense that Jeff Saturday would come in there fresh from his high school reunion and go in there and win. Because why not?
Yeah, they should give that win to Matt Ryan. I'm sorry. It's funny how the owner didn't interfere. Well, we got to bench Matt Ryan like he did
That's
when
right.
Reich was the coach. And Ryan actually had a decent game.
Yeah, he did.
I don't know how many more of those he has left in him.
Well, I agree, but he's better than whoever the hell that other guy was. Ellinger or something.
Oh, that third string
Yeah.
guy? Yeah. They didn't even go to the backup. They went right to
the bottom of the barrel, baby.
Is there someone to tank for kind of thing?
Unbelievable. Yeah, so I have to say, now when you look at that NFC East, Eagles, you still have to, last night withstanding, you still have to say they're the best of the bunch. But
yeah,
I have to tell you, I'm really beginning to believe in the Giants. Like, I truly think this is a team that can win any game it plays in. They can lose any game they play in too. Just like, well, everyone can. We were just saying that. But like, the Giants do play on the edge every game they play in. Like,
yes.
have they had a more than one score win all season?
Have the Vikings?
Probably not.
Yeah.
But the Vikings give off the impression that they could or would, because like they seem to score effortlessly at times because of how good Justin Jefferson is. The Giants offense is the most intentional, methodic offense I've seen in the NFL in a very long time.
And that's from a very innovative offensive head coach.
Yes. Well, like
but you work with what you have.
Right, that's what I was just
and that's
say.
a mark of a great coach.
That's right. He's using exactly what he has, and he's playing this the way his roster allows him the best chance to win. I mean, that's the bottom line.
They haven't played the Eagles yet.
They
got them twice in the next month and a half.
That's amazing that's so backloaded. Usually you have the division games more balanced than that.
Those are their two toughest games. They're playing the Bears. They're playing their schedule is not hard.
Yeah, well, the NFC East drew a weak division this year, so they all had sort of an easier schedule other than, obviously each other.
Yeah.
Which going into the season you would have said the schedule too. I mean, the NFC East last year was the NFC least. So,
right.
How things change, huh?
But Philly took advantage of that schedule. So did Dallas.
Yep. Absolutely.
And now let's see what the Giants do with it. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, so it's funny. I'm looking at the Giants' completed schedule to this point. They have won by 2, 3, lost by 4, won by 1, won by 3, lost by 7, won by 8, won by 5, won by 4, won by 6, lost by, okay, that was 14. That was their biggest win or loss of the year, and then won by 8 yesterday. So they have one game in their entire 9 that they've played, because they had their bye, where they have won or lost. They lost by more than one score. Every other game, whether a win or a loss, their other loss and their 7 wins have all been by one score or less.
That's amazing.
Isn't that crazy?
If you look at the Vikings, you'll see a lot of that too.
Yeah, I'm sure you would. It's it's something else, man. It really is. It just goes to show you how even things really are. I mean, like, these teams that we think are like on the top shelf. I mean, case in point, like, take the Cowboys. So we don't think they're top shelf, but we think they're middle shelf, like a solid playoff team. And maybe more to the point, Green Bay is bottom shelf, right? They're the spoiled eggs in the fridge right now. Well, they go out there and beat them. So
I think I had some eggs this morning. Yeah, but you still have to show up and play the games.
That's right.
And a lot of times that is a hallmark of Dallas against lesser teams. And it comes back to get you. It really does. I feel better about Buffalo than I feel about Dallas. I think these were a couple of hiccups, and I think they can recover from them, especially as people start to get healthier.
Yes. And the one thing I said it yesterday I liked about what I saw with Buffalo is even in the loss is you started to see Singletary, make some plays for the first time in a while. And they're going to need to produce some more balance in their offense. If nothing else than to protect Josh Allen from his own hero instincts at times.
Well, they drafted Darwin Cook's brother James in the second round. They just got that running back from the Colts in the trade deadline thing. Oh, they might play the two speedsters together. They did one play, and neither of them got the ball. They have weapons. Yes. I don't understand why they're not using them. And that's where missing Brian Daboll comes in. I mean, they miss him big. Dawson Knox had a killer year last year. And deserved the money he got, but now he doesn't see the ball.
See, the problem with someone like Daboll is, it's not Buffalo's fault that they lost him. Guys like that are going to get head coaching jobs, especially if you're a winning team.
He deserved one.
Of course. That's just a guarantee. If you're a well-regarded coordinator on a contending team, you are going to get calls to be a head coach. It's like the ultimate known. And if you're like reasonably young, he's not like a puppy, but he's not like old either. Like it's a guarantee. So, you have to be somewhat prepared for that if you're Buffalo. And I think they were, but not like, but like you can't replace talent sometimes, what it boils down to. They were prepared. They had their plan of succession. They weren't caught flat-footed, but Ken Dorsey's just not as good of an offensive coordinator as Daboll. And, that's to be expected, I guess, right? This guy was elite.
It's no fault of Ken Dorsey. Right. This is the first time he's done it.
Exactly. Man, a couple of highlights from the NBA last night. I want to get to two of them in particular. And we're going to do that next. We have the question of the day next as well. Those highlights will be quick. We'll do the question of the day. We got all kinds of NBA news and notes. Of course, we got some baseball, hot stove stuff. A lot of things to get to. News you can use. Top 5 today. A lot of stuff. Back after this, it's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. Plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. That's 800-370-2460.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you. With the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do, and you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. That's 800-649-8617.
So, Jimmy Butler last night had a defensive play for the ages. He stuffed Devin Booker as time was expiring in the fourth quarter. Rich, this play was crazy. Did you see this live?
Yes, I did. He actually stuffed him, and then Booker chased the ball. And Butler followed him, and Tough defended him so he couldn't hit the shot.
Unbelievable.
That was one of the better defensive sequences I've seen in a while.
And where were they in the game at that point? Wasn't that near the end of the game?
It was just about the end of the game. Yeah, that was a game-saving defensive play.
Unbelievable. Yeah, Jimmy Butler is something, man. And doing that against someone like Devin Booker is not the easiest thing in the world to do.
No.
I mean, Devin Booker has a quick, high for his height release. Not an easy guy to defend. Not an easy guy to block his shot for sure.
No, he gets it off so fast. It's difficult to even get a hand on that shot. He got full hand on the shot.
That was amazing. I'm watching this play just on CBS. They were doing like a quick reel, and my goodness, it just was like, man, that's a tough one. That's a real tough one. You know, what's interesting too about the Heat, they have not been great so far this year, but they're starting to round into form, I think, a little bit.
Yes. They had a good game last night.
They did.
They played well. It was a nice win. It was a needed win.
Yep, against a good team.
Yeah, they didn't have Chris Paul, but that's doesn't take away from anyone else who was out there. And did Bam Adebayo go off? He was up and down the floor. He was chasing balls. He was rebounding. He was running the break. It was nice to see him play like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, Bam Adebayo, when he's right, is about as good of a small ball big as you have in the NBA. I think we have the clip here of the Butler play. It might be a longer sequence. Let's see.
Booker with 9. Booker. Blocked by Butler. Taken back by Booker. 3 seconds left for the win. He missed it. Miami holds on and defeats the Phoenix Suns 113 to 112. And the Butler did it with defense.
The Butler, not Jimmy
Butler did it with defense. I guess it beats using the candlestick.
That's right. We got the wrench in the library, Mr. Plum. Oh, yeah. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I know the game clue. Here's Butler's reaction to that play.
Just a basketball play.
Yeah, just a play.
Got lucky to not foul.
Got lucky. No big deal.
And blocked the shot. I mean, he made a couple tough ones beforehand, but I know I had to get my hand on one of them. Got a block and won the game.
No big deal.
Yeah, it was nothing. He deflects credit more than any really good player I know.
Yeah, he's got a lot of Tim Duncan in him.
Yeah, he really does. And the second part of that play was just as impressive. Booker went right to that ball after it was blocked, and Butler chased him down and got a hand in his face and made him miss that shot.
Yep.
And he missed getting the second shot by like this. I mean,
just that much, yeah.
He barely missed getting the second one. That was a great defensive sequence.
Yeah, he's really, I think, when I think of two-way players, two-way wings, he's probably the only one who is good to elite at both that I think automatically of defense first. Like the other two that come to mind quickly are Kawhi and Paul George. But at this stage of their careers, I think offense first with both of them, even though they're both still very good defenders.
Yeah.
With Butler, I think of his defense before I think of his offense still.
He's such a good defensive player.
He's an absolute animal.
I will say Paul George is playing some of the best defense I've seen him play in years, though, this season.
Oh, yeah. I don't think it's not a knock on his defense. It's just that I think of him as an offensive player first, at this point.
And you and I was texting you during the Clippers-Rockets game. I thought when they drafted Smith. I thought this kid might be the most ready to play player in the draft that's not named Benchero. And they misuse him. I don't know if this coach wants to stay there. He doesn't look to me like he
self-sabotage going on here.
You got a kid with that much ability. Run something for him.
Yeah,
he gets points out of hustle and by accident. And it's not like you have so many other options you can forget this kid. And I know I shouldn't even watch games because coaching 101 comes out of me and I get frustrated. And I thank you yesterday for saying, oh, that was good analysis. I'm like, wow.
There we go.
Coming from you, I consider that like the highest of compliments.
Hey, you were breaking it down, man.
I do. You know your stuff. I
appreciate that. Yeah, you were breaking it down. You were giving all kinds of stats and facts and, situational stuff. It was good stuff. I thought I was waiting for the chalk dust. All that was missing.
If you'd have been here, you'd have seen it. I was just standing. I was standing up, just telling them to please give the ball to someone who's open.
Oh, that's so funny. Or the clipboard. I mean, did you have the clipboard going on too, with the dry eraser, like scribbling lines all over the place?
Nah, I broke the last one of those I had during my last season.
I can't tell you how many times over the years during my playing days with different coaches, they would write things down in a timeout on one of those boards and be like, yeah, you got it? And we'd all just be like, yeah, sure. And then we go break the huddle, walk on the court, be like, so what are we doing? No one knew what he was talking about because it was all like drawn up in haste. It's like, it's like, yeah, something about a high pick and roll. Like, I know you're supposed to get the ball, John. Well, I'll set a screen for you. Like, just make the shot and it's fun.
Here's the thing, and a lot of coaches don't think of, they'll draw that while the players are right there.
Right.
And I don't like that. My philosophy always was, give them 5 seconds after the timeout. Let them talk to each other.
Yep.
And then I'm drawing a play up. By the time they get back to me, they're a little refreshed. They might have worked something out, and they'll be more receptive to what I'm saying.
Yeah, for me, it was always just I guess my brain couldn't, in the heat of moments like that, process something so, like, last minute that easily. I guess that was the issue. Like, I think, like, those timeout plays have to be simple. They have to be, one or two things. Like, let's not get crazy. I mean, we always talk about the one saving grace of Doc Rivers as a coach is his out of timeout plays. And I think one of the reasons they're successful is they're usually like one pin down screen, a well-placed pin down screen, a well-timed placed curl, and that's it, and an inbounds pass. Like, there's nothing fancy about them. And I think that's why they work, is they're easy to understand in the heat of the moment, and they're relatively easy to execute because
that was about a game winner I drew up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. You're coming around the screen.
Yep.
Inbounder's getting you the ball. The other two guys, the two guys on the wings, are like, what should we do? I'm like, crisscross.
Yeah.
Just to get them out of the way.
Yeah, make them follow you somewhere.
Yeah, and the player who was getting the ball said to me, what's my second option? I said, you're the option.
There is no second option.
You're the option. You drive to the bucket. If you got the shot, you take the shot. If not, you take the pass.
Yep.
And he drove and he made the pass.
To who?
Because someone was cutting in.
To the inbounder, or was
for a rebound?
Okay.
But he didn't shoot. He passed it to him, and it was a simple layup. And that was at the buzzer.
Yep.
But they wouldn't have listened or asked any questions if I would have hopped right on them the second we got that timeout. Let them talk a bit. Let them work one or two things out by themselves and come over to me, and I'll tell you what we should do.
Mm-hmm.
And that works for me. It may not work for everyone.
Yep. Yeah, for me,
but if I have a point guard, I trust them implicitly, and they know it, and they know what I want done.
Yep. Well, yeah, having a point guard makes those situations a little easier. My biggest thing was just don't make it complicated. Like, let's do a simple play. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
I don't want multiple screens and reverses and, like, no, like, get a good pin down screen. Doesn't have to be complicated. Like, get a bulldozer type, have them pick someone, get one of your quicker release guys around the curl
Well,
behind that
I had
screen.
my two bigs outside the foul line, and I brought them into the foul line for a double screen. That gave them a lane to the basket.
Right, exactly.
My out of bounds plays, my side out of bounds and under the basket out of bounds were very basic. I don't think you need to inundate people
No.
with a lot of information, especially during a game. And I've seen coaches who have playbooks that are like the size of War and Peace.
Oh, wow, that's like the whole NFL. It's like, it's a wonder anyone gets anything off.
Mine was a 20-page PDF.
That's awesome.
And that's all I needed.
That's awesome. There we go. All right, well, let's take a break. We'll come back. Let's get into the question of the day, and we'll go from there. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Are you like me? You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need? It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
Struggling to find a local golf pro? There's an app for that. I am KO, back in 1 minute with your sports question of the day.
If you have diabetes and you're on Medicare, you may qualify for a free continuous glucose monitor system. Managing your diabetes is crucial to your health. The new CGM systems can automatically manage your diabetes better for you. And by using a CGM system, you can eliminate forever one thing most people with diabetes hate the most: finger sticks. Now it's possible to manage your diabetes better, end the painful finger sticks, and get a new CGM monitoring system at little or no cost to you. We even provide in-home delivery and do all the insurance paperwork for you. Now is the best time to manage your diabetes better and get your continuous glucose monitor. Call now for details. Call 800-438-1391. 800-438-1391. That's 800-438-1391.
Sportsbox AI has just released an upgraded app for those looking to up their golf game. Developers say their 3D practice app offers objective feedback for golfers who are playing alone. The new version of the app works on a business-to-consumer, or B2B2C model, in which businesses access customers through a third party rather than interacting directly through their own brand. Each of the app's practice sessions begin and end with motion capture assessments to record a baseline before practice drills begin, thus tracking how much progress was made with each session. Question: would you rather train with an app or a pro?
This is actually an interesting question, and my answer might surprise you. Um, I think it depends, but a lot of times I like training or doing a lot of things with an app versus a person because I think you're going to get the best possible results working with a person who's a great teacher. But if you work with someone who's not a great teacher, you're better off with a well-designed app or interface of some kind because I had so many professors like this in college where there's no doubt they were brilliant intellectuals, very learned academics. But man, they couldn't explain one thing to anybody. And ultimately, I don't care how smart you are, if you can't distill that knowledge into
Mhm.
your pupils, you can't teach. And that is as much a talent as it is a learned skill. It's very much like athletics in that respect, where the ability to articulate knowledge that you have to other people in the way that they understand and being able to address each individual person and in the way that they process information and being able to intuit that their difference in learning from someone else. Um, I think that that's a big deal. And I if it's not in place, I'd rather the app.
I feel the same way. A lot of pros are great golfers. Not all are great teachers. And to me, it really does depend on the person. I could use either. I'd like having a pro, but if they're not the right teacher, it doesn't matter if they're the right player because not everyone is the right player, and even less are the right teachers. So I would, I would take either depending on the situation. I know it's a cop out answer, but that's what I have.
No, I mean, personally, I think if you make me choose blindly, without knowing the person or the app for that matter, I have more confidence in the consistency of UI design than I do in the consistency of the human teaching ability. So if I'm going to just pick one without, the benefit of knowledge one way or the other, I'm going to take the app. But
I'm with you.
but I would rather the really good teacher. And
Right.
by the way, this is why I hate what we were talking about a few days ago with Cower and them. This is why I hate this idea that all color commentators are retired players or coaches. I understand where it comes from, but like at the end of the day, the job of a color commentator in particular is to analyze and explain and break things down to a broad audience, which is going to have a broad range of understanding of the sport from former players and experts themselves right down to this is the first game they're ever watching. And
Right.
to me, that was one of the things that made John Madden the best ever. I always make fun of him for it, but it's true. It's like it's fourth down. They're going for it. If they don't get it, the other team gets the ball. Like the ridiculous sounds ridiculous, but at some point, someone in the audience is like, "Oh, so that's how that works." So
Hmm.
maybe you don't have to be that basic, but you should be turning the complicated and the involved into simple and easily understood. That's the job of a color commentator, and that takes teaching skills, not necessarily playing skills or coaching skills. Now you have to know the topic, of course, well enough to be able to do that, which is where I understand where they come from trying to hire these people as these old players and stuff. But the truth is, someone who played or coached at like a rec or high school level that is just learned and intelligent and a good teacher is going to get that point across better than someone who had a 15-year NFL career who can't communicate.
Right.
And the fact that that's never considered with those jobs, I think leaves a lot on the table for improvement.
I do too. I do too. I know a lot of people who are solid commentators who have not played the game at that level.
Right. Yeah, they didn't have the ability to. It's like, join the club. There's millions and millions and millions of us.
One of the best football people I've heard was a high school coach who was an assistant coach in college. Decided he didn't want them moving around and went into radio. And he breaks things down on a level that you just get it.
He didn't want to move around and he went into radio. That's interesting.
Well, he landed a gig in a sports station, and
Okay.
he's good enough where he'll be there for a while.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Cause I I went out of radio specifically because they didn't want to be moving around
Right.
before.
But as an assistant coach, there's a chance you'll move every 2 years.
Oh yeah. I mean, I get that. I mean, I probably from 2008 to 2014, I lived in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places. So yeah.
Buffalo to Rochester to Erie, PA to Houston to LA to Phoenix. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done the radio circuit.
Yeah, it's not fun.
No.
It's not fun. All right. Well,
I like this much better.
Oh yes. Yes. And I get to look at your beautiful chandelier every day too. What could be better
Oh
than
yeah.
that?
Hey, that's just part of the package, my friend.
That's right. That's it. All right, we're gonna take one more break. We're gonna come back. We're gonna wrap up the hour with a little. Let's do the top 5 now.
Okay.
And then I'm going to have to run for about 20 minutes. Rich is going to take you through some basketball and hockey scores. And then I'll be back probably around 11:30 to wrap up the show. We'll do some news you can use and touch on a few other things if we have time. But right now, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll do the top 5. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch. Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884.
This is the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time for King Talk Radio's Top 5.
All righty. A little early top 5 today. So let's get into it. Rich, we decided.
You brought up the topic.
Yep, we're going to do it. Top 5. And why don't we do this? We'll each do our own top 5 here because, I'm sure we both have plenty to choose from. Top 5 teams that we've just been way off base with in terms of our preseason and intra-season expectations of in the NFL through week 10 here. So, All right. I'll start. Teams off the top of my head. Rams, Commies, Seahawks, Raiders, Chargers, Jets, and Giants. Those 7 for sure come to mind immediately. And maybe I'll add the Dolphins in there too. They've been a lot better than I expected. Of those 5, the easy ones are the Raiders, the Rams, and the Redskins. Those 3, definitely. I've been so far off base. It's not even funny. Seattle is probably the next on that list. And of course, last week I picked them for the first time and they lost. So, the hell with them.
One of the few times I didn't pick them.
I know. And who else? I guess I'll say the Jets are more of a surprise to me than the Giants, because I felt like with a healthy Barkley, the Giants could be more or less offensively what they've been. I didn't anticipate them winning all these close games. I anticipated them being in a lot of close games if Barkley was healthy, because that's how good he is. And I figured that Dable would be smart enough to play the cards he was dealt, so to speak. And like we were talking about a little earlier, that's exactly what he's done. Now, you can never realistically expect, if you think a team's going to be playing in a lot of close games, you don't think they're going to be 7-2 in 10 games, 9 games decided by 1 score or less.
Right.
I mean, that's not reasonable to expect. So they've had some fortune in there too. But I think the Jets totally surprised me. Like, I knew Sauce Gardner was going to be the best player in this class. I really thought he was the best player in this draft, and he's been spectacular. Yeah. But if you had told me Vera Tucker was going to get hurt, Becton was going to be out, and then they were still going to have a winning record, and then they were going to end up beating the Bills, yeah, no way. So they probably would be my 5th. So I think my 5 is going to be number 1, the Raiders. God, they suck. I always knew Josh McDaniels was a bad coach. This is like next level bad. I mean, he turned a playoff team into one of the worst teams in the NFL. And I really had high expectations of them. I liked their team a lot last year. You add Devontae Adams, I thought for sure they were a playoff team, maybe even a dark horse contender if a few things went right in the AFC. Boy, was I wrong. So they're number 1. Number 2 is probably the Rams right behind them. That's been a harder one to figure out. Some injuries. I think Stafford's not been right all year with that shoulder. But yeah, they've been pretty bad. So that they're going to be number 2. I think I'm going to put the Commies at 3. I don't know how they're 500. I still don't know it. I've picked against them, I think, every week, but maybe 1 or 2 in the whole season. And, they've continually managed to defy my expectations. Last night, of course, the signature win, beating the undefeated Eagles. So, yeah, they're going to be number 3. Number 4, I'm going to go with, it's a toss-up between the Jets, who I think I'm going at 5, and the Seahawks, because I've been so wrong about them so much. So I guess I'll go Seahawks and Jets.
We have the same top 3. And I was an early adopter of the Seahawks, so I can't say them.
Yep.
Because I've been on them for a while, but my number 4 has to be Tampa Bay. I didn't think they would be that bad. I thought they would have a fall off. And my 5 is Green Bay. I knew they would hurt from not having receivers. I did not think they'd hurt like 3 and 6 wise.
Yeah, those were 2 teams that I was pretty close to accurate on. I expected both teams to be bad, pretty much for the reasons of the receivers with Green Bay, and I just figured Brady's head wouldn't be in it.
Brady's head's in it now. He's got that family stuff out of the way.
And now he's like, now I'm going to play forever. The hell with it.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, great.
Terrorize the rest of the league for 5 more years.
Come on, Giselle. Take him back.
So, yeah, I'm going to go Raiders, Rams, Washington, Tampa Bay, and Green Bay. The 2 bays, Tampa and Green.
Tampa and Green. All right.
And I thought Jets, but I didn't think they were going to be that bad.
Really?
I mean, I didn't think they were going to be this good, but I did not think they would be that bad.
I thought they would.
And the Giants didn't surprise me. I felt with a healthy Barkley, they surprised me. I didn't expect 7-2.
Right.
But with a healthy Barkley and with Dayball, I thought they would be better.
Yeah, and that's why
considerably better. I thought they'd be at least a 500 team.
Well, that's why I left them off my list.
Yeah, if Barkley was healthy.
Yeah, that's why I left them off my list.
And I also did consider the Jets, but it wasn't as much of a shock. I thought they'd be better. I thought they had a great draft again.
Yep.
And I liked their coach.
Yep.
And I considered San Diego. And they could have made my list because I just don't know what to make of that team.
Yeah, they're confusing. I agree.
But I do know what to make of them. They have Buffalo-like injury issues.
Yes. And they have a Buffalo-like quarterback too, which is keeping them afloat.
And it shows when you have that many injuries.
No question. All right.
So, yeah, our top 5s were quite similar.
Yes. No, they were. So there you have it. All right. So,
and we banged out predictions before the season began.
Mm-hmm.
And we did them division by division. And, yeah, I had Green Bay a little higher than you. I had Tampa Bay a little higher than they are.
Yep.
Just because I thought Brady would pull them up and Gronkowski would come back.
No and no. All right, let's take a break. Rich is going to be piloting solo for a little while. I'll be back in about 20 minutes. And
got control of the vessel.
He's got control of the vessel. So if I come back and it's still here, we know he's earned his money. All right. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Well, Rich will be back in 2 minutes. I'll be back in 20. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. Plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. That's 800-370-2460.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you. With the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do, and you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. That's 800-649-8617.
And we're back on the Gary Ayd Show. I'm Rich Anselmo. Gary has stepped away for a short amount of time, but he will return. Let's take a look at last night in the NHL. We had 4 games. I'm going to start with a really fun one. Calgary Flames forward Jonathan Huberdeau missed the last 3 games due to an injury, but returned last night. He scored a goal in the first 3 minutes, his 200th of his career. Calgary took a huge lead, 5-2, over the LA Kings. The Kings had an incredible comeback. Calgary held on to win that game 6-5. The New York Islanders rested Ilya Sorokin in goal and still doubled down on the Ottawa Senators. They beat them 4-2. Carolina shut out Chicago 3-0. St. Louis beat Colorado 3-2. The Avalanche peppered Jordan Binnington with shots. He stopped 45 out of 47 for a great performance. Some injury news in the NHL. Toronto will be out 2 veteran defensemen for a while. Jake Muzzin has a cervical spine injury. He's out indefinitely, and they're going to reevaluate him in late February. TJ Brody was placed on injured reserve with an oblique injury and will miss 2 weeks. The Columbus Blue Jackets will be without Patrick Laine for the next 3 to 4 weeks with a sprained ankle. Laine recently returned from a sprained elbow, and Columbus just has no luck, none whatsoever. They have not been able to stay healthy all year. There's 9 games in the NHL tonight. We'll start with the 2 that involve local/regional teams. Vancouver is in Buffalo to take on the Sabres. The 12-3 New Jersey Devils are in Montreal to play the Canadiens. In other games, Toronto at Pittsburgh, Dallas at Tampa Bay, Washington at Florida, Philadelphia at Columbus, Minnesota at Nashville, Detroit at Anaheim, and San Jose's in Vegas to take on the Golden Knights. I wanted to mention a couple things about last night's football game. It's not just that a team got their first loss, and the Eagles did. I don't think you can pin this all on them. Whenever a good team loses a game, you have to look at 2 different things. Either something's a bump in the road or it's a cause for concern. Well, the obvious bump in the road was the turnovers. The Eagles had 3 turnovers all season entering last night's game. They had 4 last night. First one was on a deep throw from Jalen Hurts to A.J. Brown that bounced all over the place and somehow ended up in Derek Forrest's hands. No big deal. You took a shot down to your best wide receiver. It's worth doing. The second one was a fumble where a face mask call on the Commanders was clearly missed. It was blatant. The third was the play where Hurts found Quez Watkins on a deep pass. Watkins fell to the ground, got up, had the ball punched out, and the Commanders recovered. And the fourth was a lateral as the clock expired. I don't even count that one. That probably won't be an every week occurrence. What worries me, the Eagles allowed 320 rushing yards in their past 2 games combined and 130 in each of their last 4. Jordan Davis not being there hasn't helped, but the run defense is an issue even when he comes back. And the big plays have fallen off. The Eagles have 9 plays of 25-plus yards over the last 5 games. They had 12 in their first 4. Is it a concern? It is. But it doesn't matter. I think the Eagles will be just fine. It was a loss they wish they could have back, but that game was there for the taking. Couple other NFL notes. Cooper Kupp will miss time with a high ankle sprain. He was on pace for about 140 to 145 receptions at about 1,600 plus yards. That's a big loss for a team that can't afford to have one. And Zach Ertz is out for the season, a good player who you hate to see that happen to. Let's take a look at some games in the NBA last night. We briefly discussed the Miami game with the great defensive play where the Heat held on to beat the Suns. It was a fun game. It was a great game to watch. Both teams played well. The Heat happened to make the plays when they needed to. And those plays were defensive plays. And that was one of the best defensive sequences I've seen a player have in a while. Butler ended up with a double-double with 16 and 13, also had 7 assists. Bam Adebayo had 30 and 10 rebounds. The Heat had 3 scorers off the bench in double figures. Dwayne Dedmon, 12, Duncan Robinson, and Gabe Vincent each had 10. The Suns were led by Devin Booker, who had 25. DeAndre Ayton had a double-double with 16 and 10 rebounds. Dwayne Washington Jr. had 21 off the bench. That was a good game. Another game that kind of frustrated me in a way, was the Clippers game against Houston. The Clippers won rather handily, 122 to 106. They played really good defense for a team who's been up and down. They're 8-6, and they're starting to find their way. But Houston drafted Jabari Smith Jr. really high. My question is, if you're not going to use him, why? Jalen Green had a nice night for Houston. He had 25, he had 6 rebounds and 7 assists. Jabari Smith Jr. is open all night. He had 7 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 steals. If you don't have that many go-to players, you really need to find shots for a guy you drafted to be part of your backbone. They're not finding them for Smith. Clippers played a Clipper-type game. They had 6 guys in double figures. Paul George had 22, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. A Paul George game, even though he didn't shoot great. Reggie Jackson had 17 and 6 assists, a real nice game. Marcus Morris Sr. had 15. They had 3 double-figure scorers off the bench. Norman Powell had 17 and played great. Nicholas Batum had 10. Terrence Mann had 14 and a real good, solid, all-around game. The Toronto Raptors beat the Detroit Pistons 115-111. This was a 1-point game after 3 periods. The Raptors were shorthanded. They had to rely on players that don't normally get a lot of playing time, and a couple of them came through. Delano Banton started his first game with Gary Trent Jr. being out. He had 27 points. OG Anunoby had 19, 7 rebounds, 2 blocks. Of course, they were without Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet as well. He had 2 guys in double figures off the bench. Chris Boucher had 20. Malachi Flynn had 12. Malachi Flynn had 12. It's a good game by them. The Pistons also played well. They hung in there. Jason Ivey had 21 and 8 assists. Bojan Bogdanovic had 18. Marvin Bagley III had 16. They also played. A little shorthanded. Cade Cunningham did not play. It was a good game, a very good game. There were a lot of good games to watch last night. And if you could play that well shorthanded, and both teams did, the Raptors did and the Pistons did. If you can do that, it's a good sign. Other games last night, Charlotte beat Orlando 112-105 in a fairly exciting game that was a lot closer than a lot of people thought. The Celtics outscored Oklahoma City by 11 in the fourth period. They were down by as much as 13. Celtics came back to win 126-122. Was the usual suspects for Boston. Jaylen Brown had a real nice night. Jason Tatum also. Tatum didn't shoot great, but he had 27 and 10 rebounds. Jaylen Brown played an excellent game and had 26 points. Marcus Smart exploded for 22. Al Horford had a double-double with 12 and 11 rebounds. They had 2 double-figure scores off the bench. Derek White had 16. Peyton Pritchard had 10 in 14 minutes. For the Thunder, their entire starting 5 scored in double figures. Led, of course, by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who had 37, 8 assists, 2 steals. Luguentz Dort had 21. Alexei Polovetsky had 16 and 14 rebounds. Josh Giddey had 16. Jalen Williams had 14. All 5 scored in double figures. They played a solid game. It just was not enough. In other games, Atlanta beat Milwaukee 121-106. This was a game where, Milwaukee's been missing Chris Middleton all year. And again, they missed him last night. They were also without Drew Holiday. It doesn't help when only one of your top 3 were playing. Some people stepped in. Giannis had kind of a sub-Giannis kind of game with 27 points and 8 rebounds. He had no blocks. Marjan Beauchamp had 20. Brooke Lopez and Javon Carter each had 12. Carter also had 6 assists, and that was his second nice game off the bench in a starting role. 2 guys in double figures from the Bucks bench. Bobby Portis had a double-double with 14 and 10 rebounds, and Jordan Nwora had 10. The entire starting 5 for Atlanta was in double figures. Trae Young had 21 and 9 assists. DeAndre Hunter, 24. Clint Capella, a double-double with 19 and 10 rebounds. DeJounte Murray had 19. John Collins had 16. The Bucks were just too banged up and were actually never in the game. The last game of the night, Golden State beat San Antonio 132-95. As it was with the Clippers game, the Warriors did not have to play their starters in the fourth period. And it showed in the box score. Their leading scorer was Jordan Poole with 36. Curry had 16. Andrew Wiggins had 10. Draymond Green had 4. 3 guys off the bench had nice nights. Anthony Lamb had 17. Jonathan Kuminga had 15. It was good to see him. And young Moses Moody get some minutes. Moody had 11. The Warriors were without Klay Thompson, which is why Poole started. And he played just under 30 minutes. That was the most of any starter. Spurs were led by Keldon Johnson, who had 15. And Keita Bates-Diop had 10. They were never in this thing. It was a 37-point blowout. And you just can't win without talent. The Spurs have been doing it with mirrors, but it's just not good enough. 5 games in the NBA tonight. And we do have a TNT doubleheader. The first game of that doubleheader is Memphis at New Orleans. The second is Brooklyn at Sacramento. 3 other games. The LA Clippers are on the road to take on Dallas. The Knicks travel to Utah, who is 10-5, and I also don't know how they're doing it. San Antonio, staying on the West Coast, goes to Portland. Portland is 9-4, and they're playing extremely well. And some other NBA stuff. The Lakers, the talk has been all year, they have to make a change. They have to make a trade. They have to do this and that. First of all, the Lakers have kind of intimated that they're going to wait for Dennis Schroeder and Thomas Bryant to return before making any judgments that could lead to changes. It's easier now to not rush changes because there's other players there. Austin Reeves and Kendrick Nunn have come off the bench to play really well. They've gotten help from this roster. How much more they need is a question. And it's a question that has to be answered. And I think eventually it will, as you see some of these young players get more minutes, they'll see exactly where they stand. But they do have to at least look at moves before too long. You don't want to fall too far behind. Kevin Durant and Patrick Beverley are at it again. Kevin Durant does not like Patrick Beverley. Sunday night, they renewed their rivalry. The Lakers beat the Nets. Durant outscored Beverley 31-2, but Beverley took credit for the win. When he was asked what was the key to the defensive side of the ball, Beverley said, well, me guarding KD, of course. Y'all didn't see that? That was the key from the beginning. I set the tone, and the team responded. Well, Durant scored only 8 points in the first half, along with 3 assists, but the best defensive play came from Westbrook. Durant's shot at the end of the first. Durant got him back later, but of course, as sensitive as KD is, he can't not talk about Patrick Beverley and why he shut him down. Durant was irritated. He picked up technicals in the first 3 games each other in the playoffs. The Clippers stretched that Golden State series to 6 games, pretty much due to Beverley just really getting under Durant's skin. This rivalry goes back a long way. Durant's going to keep lighting it up against Beverley's teams, and Beverley will keep claiming that it's because of him when they get wins. And it's going to bother Durant, and he's going to take to social media, and it just won't stop. Patrick Beverley's going to keep this up. Durant's going to keep whining about it, and it is so much fun to watch. I am there for it. Our Rookie of the Year is given out last night in baseball. Julio Rodriguez, no surprise, wins the AL Rookie of the Year. He beat out Adley Rutschman, the Orioles catcher, who was second, and Cleveland outfielder Stephen Kwan came in third. This year's rookie class was really good, but Rodriguez just set the pace. He impressed on both sides of the ball. He was great in center field. All his metrics were above average. He was at the plate 560 times. He posted 284, 345, 509 line. He hit 28 home runs, had 25 stolen bases. He was just one of 4 players to reach that in MLB. The other 3 were Kyle Tucker, Adolis Garcia, and Marcus Semien. Rodriguez, they were worried about his defense before that. I don't think there's any reason to worry now. I think this guy is your obvious rookie of the year. And I don't think there was ever any question about it. Another outfielder was named Rookie of the Year in the National League. And when you look at all these young players, their future's in really good hands. Michael Harris II, the Braves outfielder, just beat out teammate Spencer Strider. A pair of teammates up for Rookie of the Year on a team that had the great seasons. Rodriguez said, without everyone in this room, this wouldn't have happened. Said, I'm so happy they're in my life and they support me and they pushed me to who I am today. Harris got 22 first place votes. Strider got the other 8. Cardinals rookie Brendan Donovan rounded out the top 3. Having guys finish 1 and 2 in Rookie of the Year voting, that's the first since 2011. And of course, it was Braves players. Craig Kimbrell and Freddie Freeman did it in 2011. Aside from the 2 Atlanta teams doing that, no other team has players finish 1-2 in Rookie of the Year voting since 1989. It's great for the Atlanta Braves. Harris is a hometown kid. He really does deserve it. I'm very happy for him. We talked yesterday about Zach Greinke wanting to return to the Royals for his 20th season. Gary says he would like to see him go somewhere else and try to win in that last year. I applauded his loyalty for staying with the Royals, wanting to stay with the Royals. Some other NFL news and notes. The Saints could bench Andy Dalton for Jameis Winston this week against the Rams. I don't know how to look at that. Winston might be able to move a little better, but was Dalton the entire problem last week in that Steelers loss? Kind of hard to say. The Cooper Kupp high ankle sprain, according to the Rams, quote, doesn't sound good. But they're not saying he has to have season-ending surgery. And I hope it stays that way. The injury looked pretty serious, though. And he was the only bright spot for the Rams in a disappointing first 9 weeks of the season. Yeah, he didn't suffer any structural damage, so that's good news. But he may not play the rest of the year. Kupp stats this year, 75 receptions, 812 yards, 6 touchdowns, and a 76.5% catch rate. That's amazing. And how do you replace that? That's going to be impossible to replace. Their second leading pass catcher from wide receiver is Allen Robinson with 29. Ben Skoranek has 26 and Brandon Powell has 10. They're third and fourth. Neither can replace Cooper Kupp. I don't expect it to happen. As I mentioned earlier, Cardinals leading pass catcher Zach Ertz is done for the season with a knee injury, and that's a big loss. He got hurt against the Rams. He had a knee brace on following the game. Now we find out he has to have surgery. He's 32. I don't know how a guy who's played 10 years and taken the number of lower body injuries he's taken can come back from this. Arizona's already without star wide receiver Marquise Brown. He went down with a foot injury in week 6. He's not back for a couple of weeks. This could be a lost season for the Cardinals. They're 4-6. And as they lose another weapon, who replaces them? Ertz for the year had 47 catches, 406 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a 68% catch rate. That's really good for a tight end. Some other news out of the Cardinals camp. For some reason, Eno Benjamin was released by them, second-year running back. When James Conner missed 3 games earlier this year, he took over. He played pretty well, but Eno Benjamin confirmed it on social media, even though they hadn't announced it. He played 1 play on offense in week 10. Something had to have happened behind the scenes for the Cardinals to do this. For the year, 70 carries, 299 yards, 4.3 yard average. It's decent. 24 catches, 184 receiving yards, 483 total yards, and 2 touchdowns. A team just doesn't release a functional back like that on a whim, especially with Conner's injury issues and the fact Arizona is heading into a must-win against the Niners in Mexico City next Monday. The Cardinals haven't said anything, and just going to wait and see if they even have a comment on this. It's kind of inexplicable. We had some interesting news out of Arizona. J.J. Watt had a cool gesture for a bettor who got screwed by a bad call. During the second quarter of the Cardinals' win against the Rams, the Rams got to John Wofford for a strip sack. Watt was right there for the fumble and would have walked in untouched for the defensive touchdown. Unfortunately, the refs immediately blew the play dead, believing that Wofford's arm was coming forward when he was hit for what would have been an incomplete pass. They reviewed the replay. The officiating crew ruled that Sanders hit Wofford before the arm came forward and rightfully awarded possession to the Cardinals. Arizona went on to score a touchdown on the drive, but Watt lost out on getting that touchdown. That proved impactful to one sports bettor who had a Cardinals defensive touchdown as one of the 3 legs of a parlay for Sunday's games. The bettor hit on the other 2 legs, the Cardinals winning the contest and James Conner scoring a touchdown, but got screwed out of the third, costing him a $1,000 payday. As a result, the bettor reached out to Watt. He said, "They blew that play dead, but you would have walked in the end zone. Should have won $1,000. Want to help a brother out?" And Watt treated him back. "Yeah, you got screwed. We both did. I got you. DM me your address." Now, Watt wasn't happy about losing the touchdown either. But the bettor should consider himself very lucky. Not all pro athletes are as understanding as Watt was on that. Most of them couldn't care less about your parlay. Now, I don't think Watt's going to give him the 1,000, but he might send him some signed stuff and make it worthwhile. Looks good on J.J. Watt. Other NFL news and notes: Broncos cornerback Kwan Williams out at least 4 weeks following arthroscopic knee surgery. He had some junk floating around in there and needed to be cleaned out because his knee was locking up. Let's hope he does come back. He played in 9 games. He had 30 tackles, 1 sack, 1 interception, 5 pass deflections. And the Broncos don't need any of this. The Washington Commanders have been doing what they've been doing all this time without Chase Young. He's set to return this week from his torn ACL. Could he be? Some people are saying he may not come back the rest of the year. I mean, he tore that in week 10 last year. It's been a long rehab process. But if he comes back healthy and productive, he can actually help that team. That'll be interesting. Hey there.
All right. You can stop talking for a minute.
That was fun.
All right, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I don't know if you heard any of it, but it was fun.
Cubs won't win the World Series again for 100 years. Tyler's probably right.
I can see that.
I don't think either of us will be here to see that, but we can forecast it now. So there you go. All right. So what did we cover?
I did some NBA stuff. A lot. I went through all the scores, talked about players, talked about the games. I didn't dwell on a couple of the blowouts, just the close games. Previewed tonight's games. I did the same thing in the NHL, 4 games last night. Had a couple of injury notes and previewed the 9-game schedule, but really focused on the 2 games involving like Buffalo and New Jersey.
Yep, makes sense.
I went through some reasons why the Eagles were not exposed last night and some reasons that the Eagles should have concern from the game.
What do you think is the biggest concern from the Eagles' perspective?
Run game. Defensive run game. They gave up 320 yards over the last 2 games on the ground and at least 130 in the last 4. That, and they're not making big plays. They had 9 of them in the first 4 games over 25 yards, 5 cents. Otherwise, the turnovers they had last night, one was a bobbled pass. One was a bomb that Hurts threw to Watkins that he fumbled after getting up and running. And one was a fumble recovery where the refs totally missed the face mask, which probably caused the guy to fumble. And I didn't see it in real time, but I saw it on the replay.
Of course.
But they never looked at it. And then I just did some kind of stories, some news you could use. The story about J.J. Watt.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy who tweeted him losing that parlay because Watt would have walked into the end zone of the touchdown. And Watt says, I'm angry too. I got you. And he'll probably send him some stuff.
Yeah, J.J. Watt's a good man.
He is. That's kind of cool.
He's one of the best out there.
Just talked about Chase Young coming back this week.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, I will say, prior to the injury, he was definitely on track to be a bit of a disappointment. He had 1 sack in his prior 9 games up to that point. I know he had a pretty decent rookie year, but everything since then has been not great and now marred by injuries. So that will be something to watch with keen eyes and observation the last third or so of the season.
Absolutely.
Because personally, I think he's far too good to have 1 sack in 9 games, but
I agree.
like he's way too good for that, I think. But
And if he's healthy, I think he makes a difference on that team.
no, I agree. I mean, and look, who knows with them now? Maybe we have Heineken and Young. Sounds like a law firm.
Yeah.
And a beer. Heineken and Young.
Either that or a beer in a bar for
Yeah, right.
underage drinkers. I don't know.
That's right.
Yeah, that was fun. I hope I held up your end of the bargain.
I think he did just fine. All right. So what do we want to hit the rest of the way? We got news you can use. Got anything baseball related you want to touch on?
I did touch on the 2 rookies of the year, and I did deeper dives into why they got them, how many votes they got, the kind of stats they had. So that's all done. What do you have?
Well, me personally, I want to break down the Knicks here a little bit. I've been doing some thinking about where they are and what they need to do. So let's take a break. You've earned it. And we will go into the Knicks next, and we'll finish up with news you can use. That's what's on tap the rest of the way. Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. Plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. That's 800-370-2460.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then, if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do, and you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. That's 800-649-8617.
All righty, we're back here. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave. Today it's the Rich Anselmo Show on The Cave.
And I already went through that Rockets thing, so.
So right now the Knicks are sitting in 10th in the Eastern Conference at 6-7. So they're not buried. You know, they're more or less 500, just under. See, the problem for the Knicks right now, they can't stop anybody, which is so crazy. You're talking a team that is now the second worst defense in the whole Eastern, third worst defense in the whole Eastern Conference, behind just Detroit and Indiana. They're allowing an average of 116.8 points per game, which amazingly enough only puts them in the hole 2.1 per contest. So they're scoring at a great clip. I mean, their scoring average of 114.7 puts them in the top third or so of the conference. Right now, from a quick glance, Boston leads by a margin at 120 even per game. Cleveland is at 116. Atlanta's at 115.6. Indiana is actually averaging 117.3. So, and the Knicks at 114.7. puts them somewhere, what is that, about 6th in the conference, it looks like. So they're somewhere in the 5th. They're 5th in the conference in points scored, but they're 3rd to last in points allowed. So
when you give up 145 to Oklahoma City.
yeah, that was bad, man. That's a lot of points. And Thibs is slamming this because that's all he likes to talk about.
I'm wondering how he still has all his blood vessels at this point. Gee.
I mean, here's the problem with this Knicks defense. The way I see it, this roster has a fatal flaw defensively, and that's its backcourt. RJ Barrett is not as good a defender as he should be for his size and athleticism. But Brunson, Rose at this stage of his career, and Quigley, those three absolutely can't guard anybody. I mean, between three of them, you have nobody on defense. And then Julius Randle is too much of a gambler. He plays the passing lanes too aggressively, in my opinion. He's too quick to help off of his man instead of staying home. So he gets burned on kickouts a lot. So I think there's some discipline problems with Randle. I think there is just a pure ability lacking with Rose, Brunson, and Quigley. And I think Barrett's the interesting one. If I was the coaching staff, I would be doing a deep dive into film on Barrett defensively, on ball in particular, and see, is there something in his technique, in his spacing? Like, what can I do to try to figure something out with this kid? Because to me, I don't understand why he struggles so much on that end of the court, because it's not a lack of effort. But
I think I might know why.
What do you got?
He's better defending wings.
They put him on guards.
If you want to fix that, let him guard a wing and let Reddish guard a big guard.
Right, because you're putting Barrett on these guards because of what I just mentioned. The other three can't guard anybody.
Right.
So you're trying to compensate for that.
Start Reddish at the 3 and let him defensively be a 2. And let Barrett defensively be a 3, where you'll see his game thrive on defense. That's the easiest fix.
And then which of those 3?
That means he has to commit to Cam, and I don't know if he's going to do that.
Yeah. Which of those 3, Quigley, Rose, and Brunson, are you most comfortable with in a defensive rotation? None of them. That's the problem.
I'm not really with any.
But one of them's going to be on the court at least at all times. I mean, maybe 2 of them a lot, but one for sure. So where are you putting that guy? If you move Barrett to guard the 3 and you put Reddish on one of the guards, I guess Reddish has to be on the big guard, and you have to deal with Brunson or whoever.
You have to deal with them guys guarding your ones. They knew this when they signed him.
Yep.
Which is why if you were going to sign a guy like that, they really should have made the move for Mitchell.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
Brunson was a consolation prize.
Yeah, Brunson to me is a 6th man and should be a 6th man. That's his.
And he was better off in Dallas than he is here.
That's his natural role in the NBA, in my opinion. I mean, he might be the best 6th man in the NBA, like him and Spencer Dinwiddie and Colin Sexton. Those 3, I mean, I know Sexton's starting right now in Utah, but those 3 to me all scream 6th man of the year types.
Yes. And the thing is, backing him up, you have a guy that would have been a 6th man of the year type a few years ago, but is a little less of that now. Rose is still capable.
Yeah, Rose is still very good. Right. So the problem is you have...
Actually, Rose might be the one I feel most comfortable with defensively.
Yeah. He'll at least...
Because he has great hands.
Yeah, he does. The problem with this is that all 3 of those guys, Quigley, Rose, and Brunson, are natural 6th men offensive spark plugs.
Yes.
And because you have 3 on the roster, one of them is going to be in the game at all times, when realistically you should have one of them on the roster who plays 25 minutes a night and is there to create offense. So I would be looking, this is what I would do if I'm the Knicks. I said this in the offseason. I've seen nothing to change my mind. I'm looking to package Quigley and get another capable wing or front court guy. If I could get myself a guy who's a sound 4, it doesn't have to be a starting quality 4, but like a fringe starter to backup type of guy. I'm thinking someone to the extent of like a Luke Kennard or a guy like a Jacob Pirtle, someone of that caliber, I think would help the Knicks a lot.
Kennard's a 48% 3-point shooter who the Clippers love. I don't think they're giving him up.
No, I was using him as an example of the type of player. I think Pirtle would actually help them even more because they need.
I do too.
They need some reinforcements on the back end too, because if the front end is getting cooked all the time like it is, your best bet is to go in the back.
And unfortunately, your power forward has never been a great defender.
Right, he's very undisciplined.
He could score and rebound, but he eats up shots to do it. There's a lot of 10 for 24 nights in there.
Yeah.
And he's not a first option.
No.
That's the other problem. You're not going to be a contender until you get a better first option.
Right, but the thing is, because of when I'm looking at the numbers, I agree with you, but that's not what's causing them the problems right now. They are averaging 115 a game almost. That's fine. It's they're giving up 117. Not so fine.
And that's the problem because guys aren't playing in the right position.
Right.
You have no defensive 1.
Right. That's a great point.
You have a defensive 2 and a defensive 3. With Robinson, you have a defensive 5, although you can't count on him for more than 28 minutes because of foul trouble.
Well, here's the bigger question. I thought this is what you were talking about when you were saying 1 and 2, but you meant by position. I was thinking this. Who is the defensive 1 in terms of the leader of the defense? Who is your ace defender? Do they have one?
Reddish is the closest thing. Robinson is probably your ace defender.
Yeah.
Reddish is the closest thing on the wings.
Yeah.
Barrett will be better if he covers 3s.
If he's playing 3s, right.
Yeah. He's more comfortable playing defense there.
Right. Yep. Well, he's got those big, strong shoulders and that upper body too. So
yeah. In fact, he's more comfortable playing offense there too, for that matter.
Yeah. See, this is I would roll out this. This would be my lineup. Starting lineup. Reddish, Barrett, Fournier, Randall, Robinson. I'm going big.
Who's your ball handler?
I'm going to put the ball in Barrett's hands. I know it's not his natural identity, but
I would trap the hell out of you all game.
No, and that's fair. But here's the thing. Right now, they can't guard anybody, and I cannot continue to put guys in there that are absolute turnstiles. Like, I have to try something. I mean, if you want to go Brunson, you go Brunson, Barrett, Reddish, Randall, and Robinson. That's fine.
I would do that.
But more. Brunson's getting cooked, though. He's getting absolutely cooked.
Robinson has to be on the court when Brunson plays.
When any of those 3 play.
But especially Brunson, because Brunson's going to get a majority of the minutes.
Right.
Robinson has to be able to stay on the court. If Brunson plays 30, Robinson has to play 30, because Brunson's man's going to get into the lane.
Right. Oh, yeah, always. Right.
And Robinson's got to be a little more disciplined on shot blocking.
Yeah,
Don't go for everything.
He goes for the home run every time he goes to block a shot. That's the bigger problem.
Go for the obvious stuff.
Yep.
For a reason where you can tip that ball. It doesn't have to go into the stands. Bill Russell never put a shot in the stands.
Never.
He tried to tip it to a teammate.
Yep. His shot blocks were passes.
Yeah.
A lot of times. They really were.
And Wilt was the same way, although every once in a while he'd make something emphatic into the 10th row.
Yeah. You know who was good at that too? Duncan was good at blocking shots inbounds.
Yes. And those are the kind of things. And this is what bothers me about coaching staffs in general. Have a coach for your big man. And don't make it a 6'3" guy. Have a coach for your big man to learn these subtleties of the game.
Right.
There's no reason why you shouldn't. Because Robinson can be a weapon.
Oh, yeah. There's no question about it.
If he's used right and gets those little things down in his game. If he can give you 30 minutes a night, he'll get 10 rebounds and block 4 shots.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever he scores is a bonus. But you got guys who can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, no question.
And this way you have one guy that's going to get by his man pretty regularly. Robinson's a necessity there.
Yes, he is. Yeah, Robinson, I agree. And this is why I always said I don't want to I never wanted to trade Robinson. I never wanted to give up Robinson. I think he is so important to this team.
He is.
I mean, he does things that no one else on this roster can do. And that's one of the reasons I want to get someone like Pirtle, because I mean, I want that type of presence on the court at all times, especially when I have those type of turnstile ones. And
you have a turnstile 4.
Right. Well, the 4,
which makes it even worse for your big man.
Right. Yeah, the 4 is his problem is different. See, to me, Randall gambles too much and is thus voluntarily out of position. If he's like actually paying
but
attention,
those habits are ingrained by now.
Oh, they are. But whereas I think Brunson is incapable of guarding,
right?
I think Randall at times has shown to be very capable of it when he's not taking risks. But to your point, those habits are so ingrained by now. I don't know if you can change that.
Okay, how about this then? Give Toppin some of those clutch minutes that you need defensive.
You could play him at 4. Yep.
Yeah.
I think you could play him.
No reason why not. He gets up and down the floor well.
I think you could play him and Randall together, as a matter of fact, if you need to like try to juggle offense and defense. Because obviously, if you take Randall out, you're losing a lot offensively.
You are. But you can also run like hell and get Toppin up the floor.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things you can do. They're going to have to try some things.
Because they can try.
Mike Vaccaro in the post.
And I pretty much think.
What's that?
Oh, we pretty much covered a lot of them. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say Mike Vaccaro in the New York Post today was talking about this, and he said that, there's no hot seat yet, but if this continues to be a problem where they absolutely can't defend anybody, at some point that's going to change relatively soon. And, I agree. And I think this is a roster problem, though. I think that there's too many pieces that don't fit the puzzle. That's the problem.
They have to move quickly for someone who can defend.
Agreed. I would move Quigley.
If you can move him for someone who can defend multiple positions, even better.
Yes. Yep.
Even if you have to give up something else, do it.
Yep. I would move Quigley in a heartbeat if I can manage it.
Now, for some reason, Tibbs has got to commit to Cam Reddish. He has to. Some reason he doesn't want to.
It's the great mystery. It really is. I mean,
but he's your best perimeter defender.
He is, and he
gives you other stuff too.
I was gonna say he's probably like your 4th best offensive player too. I mean, after you get by Randall, Brunson, Barrett, maybe Rose. I mean, I think Reddish is every bit as potent offensively as Rose is at this point.
And you still got Fournier to come off the bench.
Right. Gotta stop some people, man. You gotta guard somebody. All right, let's take our last break. We'll come back and we'll close it out with news you can use. Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Are you like me? You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need? It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money, and we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
All right, there we go. Time for some news you can use. What do we got today?
I've used some of it up, but we have a few interesting things. Orioles general manager Mike Elias discusses their win now mode off season. Did you think you would ever hear this? Direct quote.
Now mode Orioles. I don't think I understand what that sentence means. I don't think that's in the English language.
A direct quote. Our objective this winter is to add to the major league roster for the purpose of getting into the playoffs.
Playoffs?
We think this team is ready to hopefully incrementally take steps forward. We're in win now mode.
Whoa!
Now, they've got a ton of young players and more interesting young players that'll be up soon. That gives them kind of some flexibility as to the players to go after. I mean, I could see going after a Dansby Swanson, going after Urias to pitch. I think there's some moves they can make.
Now, the question I have.
And the rotation's an easy fit for a veteran. They have a lot of good pitchers. Most of them are young.
The big question I have is, being that this team hasn't been a free agent destination or a buyer of free agents in, I mean, really forever. I mean, even the last time they made like a little run under Showalter, it was mostly homegrown young talent that did it. My question is, how do you entice someone, and how much you're going to have to overpay beyond what's available on the market to do it? I mean, and are you willing to go that route? Because if I'm like you, let's just use the two guys you mentioned. If I'm Swanson or Urias, okay, and let's just say the average offer for Swanson is 5 years, $130 million. That sounds about probably in the ballpark. Okay, if the Braves are offering me 5 years, 160, and maybe there's another team, let's just say the Yankees offer me 5 years and 160. What am I going to have to get offered to consider the Orioles? I mean, if the Orioles give me 5 years, 180, is $20 million worth taking a risk like that with the balance of my prime?
Swanson might not have been the best example. But if you got a younger player who's got some years in and some experience, I mean, say he's 28 and plays for Texas. Mm-hmm. You might see a better future in Baltimore.
Yeah, no, I think it's not
The
so
same
much
way some young players see a better future in Cleveland than some of the places they've
right.
been.
Well, I think you just hit it on the head. I don't think it's so much the age of the player as much as it is where are they coming from. Like if I'm a guy who's used to being on a winning team, if I'm Urias or Swanson or anyone who's been on winning teams that are perennial winning teams, contending teams, I'm not going to Baltimore. But if I'm coming from Texas, like you said, or if I'm coming from Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Detroit, yeah, a team like that, then yeah, sure. But the problem is the reason those teams are who they are, most of them don't have a lot of those guys. That's the whole.
Pittsburgh has a couple
They're all pretty young, though.
veterans that can make that move. They're young veterans, 26, 27, but it would fit the Orioles
Yeah,
perfectly.
yeah.
Depends which team you think's more in a ready to win mode. I think the Orioles are close.
Yeah, and who's more committed to it? Because the problem with all these teams is always a lack of commitment to continuing to try to win. They'll get like a little spurt where they become competitive because they hit on the right players all at the right time together, and then boom, they get rid of those guys because they don't want to pay anyone. So the fact that the Orioles are going out there and publicly stating this, I think moves them ahead automatically over teams like Pittsburgh and Detroit and Texas.
Right.
Well, Texas maybe not. Texas now is in. They woke up and were like, wait a minute, we suck. We should do something about it. I know. Bochy, dust off them mothballs. You're coming here, and yeah, we're gonna try to buy everybody.
Hey,
Jacob deGrom, we're coming for you.
We got time for a couple more?
Yeah, let's do it.
Quick ones. Anthony Rizzo has till 4:00 today to decline his $19 million qualifying offer from the Yankees. The Astros are now a player.
Saw that. Oof.
Your thoughts?
Well, if Rizzo goes to the Astros, they'll know exactly how to use him, and he will absolutely give the Yankees fits. Like, I can almost predict that right now.
I believe it too. The Warriors are sending James Wiseman to the G League for a, quote, extended stint. Kerr said it's not going to be one game and bring him back. We want to give him maybe a couple of weeks straight to get consistent playing time. He needs that playing time. And they're telling him it's not a demotion. Go down there, get aggressive, play your game, get yourself ready. There's a spot here for you. I like it.
Interesting. Hard to see how that's not a demotion, but okay. I mean, and maybe
not if you have a reason behind it.
And maybe my bigger question is, with as bad as the Warriors have been playing, if there's not a spot for him there right now, when is there going to be? Like, I guess if I'm Wiseman, I just don't know if I believe Kerr. Sounds
he's
good.
Not ready yet for that spot.
Well, then he's not going to be ready.
Let him get consistent minutes and see what happens.
Okay, I know if I'm putting myself in Wiseman's shoes, that sounds like regular corporate speak to me. I don't trust a word of it if I'm Wiseman. I mean, you got to do what you got to do anyway. It's, you don't have a choice, but
yeah, I mean, like Jordan Poole told him, don't look at it as a demotion. Look at it as an opportunity to kick some ass, then come back here with what you learned and do what we know you can do.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, Kerr might BS him. I don't think a teammate will.
If I'm Wiseman, I'm feeling this is a demotion. I mean, there's no way that look. I understand what they're trying to say, but it is a demotion.
Well,
it is.
All right, let's move on. Mariners are pursuing Masataka Yoshida, the 29-year-old power hitter from Japan. Everyone thought the Yankees had the pipeline to him. The Mariners are giving a great pitch considering their history with Japanese players.
There we go. Yeah. I mean, we know Hideki Matsui was like the main one. Daisuke Matsuzaka with the Red Sox was fairly effective for a short time anyway. And then, of course, the Yankees had more recently, who's that starting pitcher they had just until a couple of years ago?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, but see, the Mariners top all that with Ichiro.
Not Wong, but the guy who came after him. Ching-Ming Wong was really good at one point too.
Yeah.
But now I can't remember the guy's name. But
And the Mariners are also closer to home.
Yep, that's true. So there we have it. All right, well, that does it for us. We will be back tomorrow. Enjoy Tiddling Sports with Rick Tittle. This is the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.